this piece of paper, and ideally you want the paper to, if you put your arm out straight, the middle of the paper will be at your shoulder height. That's the most ergonomic. Tape down the location of your easel, and then your spot too is helpful. If it's in a big class, you'll put your initials. So in the last video, I had you net the cube, and I like to use these cubes. You can make a bigger cube if you want it to be easier. Just follow the pattern that I had on the printout, the same proportions, and you can make a cube of any scale that you would like. I added blue lines on the edges and red points on some of the corners, because this will be all about lines and points. So these sighting techniques will help you draw an object that you see in front of you. What you'll need is something straight. A ruler is excellent. You can use a paintbrush. You could use a pencil. If you want to be really great for the earth, you can use a straw. Use a used straw, maybe. This one's sort of straight, pretty straight. Or you can use a skewer stick. A lot of times I'll give out skewer sticks in class. I set up the easel here so it has the best lighting condition for you to see it. We'll see how that works. I was doing a little practice one as I'm a little rusty, haven't been practicing. I typically will line up with a still life. I'm right-handed, so I'll typically line up with it this way, where you're at right now, so that I'm open to it, so I can have movement to look back and forth. I tape the ground like I showed you before, where the easel is and where I stand. Why? Because it's very important to be at the same vantage point if you're trying to draw something in front of you. Vantage point is where your eyes are seeing from. So if I were to move even one step off, it would be harder for me to replicate the still life in front of me because I'm changing my vantage point. And I keep my sighting implement, which is a ruler, parallel to my face. Parallel to my face, not the object. You should never be like this. You should never be like this. Parallel to your face. Think of your face as a cube. Have it be parallel to the frontal plane of the cube. So, since I don't want to measure it exactly, I actually want to make a larger cube, I will decide where's the topmost, here, where's the top of my point closest facing me? Where's the bottom point closest facing me? I'm not deciding at what angle the line is at, the edge. I'm just deciding the parameters for the topmost and the bottommost. And this is arbitrary. I'm just deciding for my needs on my image. So top, just sketch it, bottom. Stand on my spot, use my non-dominant hand to measure parallel to my face. I am measuring the angle at which the edge is, and then I bring it with one eye closed. I view it, and I bring it. This eye or that eye? Which eye do you close, and why do you do it? We do it because our two eyes see 3D, so we're seeing two images as one. And then what we want is to see just one single perspective, so we use just one eye. And usually, let's see, lately I've been noticing I use my left eye. Which eye do you use? Leave it in the comments. Here's an eraser, pencil, and ruler. Also handy is to keep a clock near you. The old school kind. I use my ruler to create the top and bottom. From the front point at the edge, what o'clock does it point to? What o'clock does it point to? 2 o'clock? Yeah. How about this one? From the point in the front closest to you along the edge. What o'clock? Like 10 o'clock. We decide on the first 2 points and that line. As we expand and find the other perspective lines that go back, we move on to, ooh, that was gooey. We move on to triangulation. Once you have 3 points, you can use those 3 points in your measurements to compare against everything else. And those are always your ones you trust the most, the first 3 that you made. Let the entire drawing be measured against those first 3. And if you notice, measure, then remeasure. This is where you start to go beyond the edges that are offered to you, and you jump across the flat plane of the object to try to find point to point where these line up in space from your perspective. Remember the whole time, one eye closed, straight elbow, ruler parallel to your face. Recheck it, thumbs up. Then you can move on to the next plane of the cube. Always remembering at what o'clock is the angle of the ruler, the edge, going to, from point to point. I'm going to have you do 2 cubes. I think by the second cube it really starts to make sense and your brain starts to record this knowledge. By the second cube, turn the angle of the cube to something new. Remember, you start out deciding the top and bottom of your cube, and then notice at what angle do you go off of the point at the corner to follow the edge. Once you find 3 points, let those be the superhero points that you look to for all others. Tee hee hee hee. Okay, your second cube. Get it going. Measure and remeasure. Jump across from point to point to find the third point. Then that's a triangle, thus called triangulation. Here I'm just defining the lines so you can see it a little bit better. The final iteration of it. And using my GUI it was like right in the sun that day. To clean it up and then redefine the lines until, ta-da! My 2 cubes. A little messy, but to the point. Oh cube, the starting block of so many shapes.